there is another widely used feature in JetBrains IDEs that allows us to drastically speed up our development. And that feature is called file templates. And what it basically allows us to do is it allows us to quickly create files with predefined content. So let's try it out. I'm gonna press Command 1 to move my focus to the sidebar, and in here let's press Command N. We'll get a list with different files which we can quickly create. For example, let's try to create PHP class. All we have to do in here is to specify the name for the newly created class, and then we'll get new PHP file created with populated template for the PHP class inside. But we usually tend to create many different files of the same type, especially when working with a framework. For example, in Laravel projects, we usually create a lot of eloquent models that all have the same template. And as an example, to be able to quickly create eloquent models, we can create file template that is going to store the skeleton for the eloquent model. Usually, eloquent models are stored under app models namespace, and they all extend base model class. And some of the models might also have a hasFactory trait. So now to get some practice creating file templates, let's create file template for the eloquent model. First of all, let's select the template of one eloquent model as an example that we're gonna use while creating file template. And then everything related to file templates can be found under File and Code Templates section in the settings. Here we can see the list of all available live templates that currently exist. Let's create new file template by pressing the plus sign. Here we assign the name for this file template, and then in this field let's paste the code that we have just copied. This is the code for the eloquent model. Let's also remove unnecessary parts, and after applying the changes and saving new file template, let's try it out and use it. So this time when we're gonna press Command N while having our focus at the File Explorer, we're gonna get the list where we can find our new file template with the name eloquent model. And if we'll use it, we have to provide file name, and that's it. We have just created file that contains the code for the eloquent model. But of course, the name of this class has to match the file name. So let's fix it. I'm gonna go back to File Template Settings, choose Eloquent Model Template, and here in the body of the file template, besides using normal text, we can also use all kinds of variables. We can read more about available variables right here. So now let's use one of these variables, which will be a name that basically stores the name of the file name. And just because we want the file name to match the class name, we can use this variable name in the place of the class name right here. Alright, so let's remove this subscription model and recreate it. Specify the file name for this model, and this time, as we can see, the class name is the same as the file name, which is exactly what we need in this case. Besides using dynamic variables when defining file templates, we can also use all kinds of logical constructs. One example of this construct we can see in the predefined PHP class file template. In here, the if construct is used to add namespace statement in case value for the variable namespace was provided. So let's see how that works. I'm gonna copy over this block, put it in our eloquent model file template, instead of using namespace statement directly. And this time this namespace statement will only be added if we'll provide value for the namespace variable when using this file template. So one more time, let's use our file template to create new eloquent model with the name subscription, but this time besides file name field we also have additional field called namespace. And if we'll leave this field blank, then file template will be created without the namespace statement. And this time if we'll create eloquent model based on our file template once again, but fill in the namespace field. This time, namespace statement will be added with the namespace that we have specified. Alright, now let's create another file template to quickly create controllers. Let's open up an example of one of the controller classes. So all controller classes by default exist under app HTTP controllers namespace, and all of them have to inherit from the base controller class from the same namespace. So let's create file template to quickly generate files that have controller templates. We're gonna follow the same procedure. Let's press plus to add another file template, call it Laravel controller. And now let's copy the example template of one controller, paste it as a content into this file template, and instead of hard-coding class name, we're gonna use variable called name to make file name be the same as the class name. And let's try it out. I'm gonna press Command 1 to focus on the file explorer and press Command N to create new file. Let's choose our new file template called Laravel controller. As always, we have to specify file name for the new class, and controller has been generated with the class name same as the file name. And as you can see, template for the controller, just like template for the Eloquent model, they both have namespace statement. And just to make the code for these templates more reusable, we can extract some of the repeated parts of the templates and move them into their own partials. They're called includes. All these includes are stored under this includes tab. Let's create another include, call it PHP namespace, and paste the if statement, which determines when namespace statement has to be added. After this, we have to somehow use this include for our file templates, and the way we use it is basically this. Let's copy this line, paste it into our Eloquent model file template, but of course we have to change the name of this include, and the name has to match that name we have specified when creating this include, which in this case is PHP namespace. And of course, same change has to be made to Laravel controller template. In here we also have to include our PHP namespace partial. And after that, let's remove subscription Eloquent model as well as subscription controller class and try to regenerate those classes again. We'll start with a controller. Let's use Laravel controller template, specify the file name as well as namespace. And there we go. We got the controller with the namespace we have just specified. Same goes with the model. Let's create an Eloquent model with the name subscription and the namespace app/models. And we got generated template, which also includes specified namespace. And this is it for this lesson. We have reviewed what file templates are and how to create them to speed up our development.